Recently, I had the chance to meet Warner Canada country star Meghan Patrick, and she is a fireball. She's a wonderful singer and songwriter, and we had a great conversation. Did I mention she did an incredible version of Black Velvet? Here we talk about her new album, Heart on My Glass. I want to hear about your record, Heart on My Glass. What will it reveal about you that we don't already know?
Um, I think like the past year has been pretty intense, I think, for everybody, to say the least.
Yeah,
And for me, when the pandemic first hit, it was really tough because I had a huge year planned out with just touring and everything. I mean, I won my first Juno, like all these crazy things happened that were not the way I hoped it would be. But I think the biggest blessing and silver lining of this last year was I had more time to just focus on my songwriting than ever
right.
before. Usually I'm on the road most of the time. I'm gone all the time. I'm doing press. I'm doing like artist stuff. And this past year, pretty much all I've done is just write. I was writing every single day, and so I think I had a lot of time to really self-reflect and dig a little bit deeper in my writing and take some more risks because I wasn't on like a deadline or anything to get songs finished for a record. So I
Right.
think I think as a result, I don't know if I've necessarily revealed anything about myself that people didn't already know. I think it's just peeling off some more of the layers and digging a little bit deeper into my brain and my heart. So I'm excited to get it out to the world.
You think that makes you a better writer, being able to reveal more of yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, and especially like in country music and my fans, um, the more you share of yourself with your fans, the more they feel like they know you, and the
Right.
more connected they feel to you, and the more they want to support you and really listen to your music. If it's always just stuff that's on the surface, then what's to make them want to connect with you over any other artist? I think it's that feeling of feeling like they're really connecting to you on a deeper level is important.
That's a great answer. You mentioned winning a Juno Award. That's fantastic. I know that you have a mantle that is probably sagging a little bit right about now because of all the hardware that you've accumulated. Which of your awards means the most to you and why?
Who? I mean, I think, they all have been really special and important to me at different times in my life. I mean, a Juno is a Juno. It's hard to, it's hard to not, kind of put that at the top of the list, and I think especially because I, the record that won me that Juno was a really, really special album for me. Just for a lot of reasons. And it also, the title track, Wild as Me, I always have kind of looked at that as the first like real love song I've ever written, which was always something I struggled with as a writer, trying to write love songs because they always seemed super just cheesy and not me.
Mm,
Um, and also, thankfully, I'm still very much in love with the person that I wrote the song about. So, and I
wow.
also wrote that song with two of my very best friends who are also just phenomenal songwriters. So that was like a really special thing to share with them, just as friends and as creators together. So yeah, I would have to say probably the Juno.
Cool. You mentioned the difficulty of writing a good love song. Is that what would you say that's the hardest type of song to get?
Yeah, because I mean, for me anyway, personally, like I always have gravitated towards writing like breakup songs, heartbreak songs, like that kind of thing because and I think probably mostly because in my own life I tend to feel more motivated to write when I'm in a bad place or when I'm sad or hurt or angry because
Right.
it's like an outlet for me. Whereas when I'm like really happy and in love, like I'm actually enjoying my life so much that I'm not looking for that like escape or that outlet anymore because I'm happy. So I always, joke with Mitchell. I'm like, can you just like pick a fight with me or something real quick so I can, get some inspiration. So yeah, but I think also the writing love songs, it's come to me so much more naturally and easier with the relationship that I'm in now because I think it really is the first true love that I've had. And the kind of love that is so like special and specific to us as a couple, and that has really made me come into my own and be able to feel like myself. You know, that was what Wild as Me was about, was finding somebody that was as wild as me and that appreciated those aspects of me and was happy to like let me continue being myself. I never felt like I had to give up or sacrifice any part of myself or my happiness or my dreams or goals to have him. So,
That's a big statement you just made there at the end. You kind of tossed it away, but that was a big statement to make about any relationship. I think
yeah.
I need to start taking notes after that, because for me, I'm serious. For me, Megan, writing the joy song is way harder.
Mhm.
They always feel like I'm writing a cliche, or it's just too
Yep.
bouncy and too
Yep.
happy, and it's
Mhm.
not nuanced and interesting enough. Whereas
Yep.
darker songs, oh yeah, you can make those as intense as you want.
I
That's
agree.
excellent. So, what's the hallmark of a Megan Patrick song? Is there one? Is there something that's like, oh, I recognize that voice anywhere?
Yeah, I definitely would hope that just my voice in general, the timbre, the sound, the texture, you know,
Mhm.
I always want to make sure, I mean, that is my sort of goal and dream. All of the artists that I admire and that inspire me, it's like, you know, you when one of their songs comes on, like, you know, within like 10 seconds that
Right.
it's a so and so song. Um, but I think, you know, in terms of like musically and sonically, there's always going to be I feel like there's generally a toughness to it, which just is me in general, you know, and
Right.
whether it's with guitars or drums or the melody or whatever. But, you know, even that is kind of fluid and always evolving as I grow as a person. I have different experiences, um, you know, and have different relationships and different things that happen that affect that.
That's interesting. You know what you say about the identifiability of a singer's voice. It's an emotional thing too, as well as just the tone of the voice. I mean, when you look around at some of the, the major artists of today, like a Casey Musgraves or
Mhm.
Natalie Maines or Maren Morris, I mean, are there singers that stand up for you that really influenced you as a vocalist, where you can go, oh, I know where I got that little bit from, that kind of thing?
Um, I would say probably one of my biggest influence just in terms of vocals, not necessarily like songwriting or anything like that, but vocally, I mean, Aretha Franklin has always been one of my biggest influences and one of my favorite singers. Um, you know, just first of all, coming from an era where there was no auto tune or really editing, it was, you know, those records were often cut live off the floor, and that was something that I always loved. I mean, for her to sing like that, I mean, it was just like completely unfiltered, raw, pure emotion and angst, and like I just and power, like just power but vulnerability at the same time, which I always that was something that really made me gravitate towards her. Um, and I would say beyond that, a very close second would probably be Don Henley for me. The Eagles still have always been and are to this day one of my favorite bands of all time. I always crack the joke that there's nobody that sings the word baby quite like Don Henley. What is it? Wasted time. I could have done so many things, baby. Oh, when he sings it, like I'm just like, oh, like it gets me every time.
Wow. Those are really, really good choices, That's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Speaking of sort of utilizing the power, the passion, and still matching it up with the vulnerability, I have to tell you, thank you so much for the beautiful version that you did of my song Black Velvet.
Oh my gosh,
It,
I
it's
was
it's fantastic.
I'm honored to sing that song, and you know it was a tough choice because I'm like, okay, like can I really beat Alana Miles? I mean, her it's so good, you know, and but it was when I looked at like the list of songs that I was sort of choosing for the Junos thing, that one was just I mean, my mom always loved that song. She used to play it all the time growing up. And when I decided that I was going to cover it, I didn't actually know a lot of the history behind it or like what it was about. I just remember
Right.
always loving that song and the melodies and everything and the vibe of it growing up. And then, you know, anytime I do a cover, like I'm like kind of nerdy, like I want to dig in and like get all the information and or even anytime I hear a song, I want to know who wrote it and, you know, what's the story behind it. So when I
Yeah.
started digging a little bit deeper, I was like, wow, like I actually love this song even more now, knowing more of the history of it. And I mean, it was such a cool experience to get to sing it. And I mean, it kind of, we ended up posting, a clip of it. I think it was on TikTok or whatever, which I did not want to join TikTok, by the way. My label, my manager, like everybody's like, you got to do TikTok. And I'm like, I am a 33-year-old woman. I don't want to go on TikTok. Like seems like a teenager thing, but they're like, you got to do it. Everybody's doing it. And so we posted a clip of that and it like went viral. Like that was like one of my first like viral things on TikTok. And it
I
really,
didn't know that.
yeah, well, that's what prompted us to like actually release it because, initially it was just the thing that I just did it for the Junos, right? As the 360 session. And we had posted just a clip of the performance on TikTok and it kind of like blew up. And so that's why we ended up actually releasing it because everybody's like, oh my gosh, I need this version. I want to listen to it. I want to download it. I want to stream it, whatever. So yeah, it ended up having more of a life even beyond the Juno session, which was pretty cool.
As you can imagine, I'm pleased with this information.
Yeah, of
This
course.
is, this is all very good news to me, Megan.
Yeah,
So for that, I wonder, it's funny because I'm doing interviews a lot now for my record, and people want to talk about that song, not only how it was written, but
yeah.
they'll always ask me a question which I cannot answer. So I'm going to give it to you to answer.
Okay.
They'll say, what is it about that song? What is it that has given it its incredible life, and where's its durability coming from?
Well, I mean, I think I'll start with what drew me to it in the first place, which was the simplicity. It was a very simple, blues kind of, progression, which is timeless. It was Alana's voice singing it, the raspiness of it, the harmonies on the chorus, and just the melodies. Like it was just so hooky and so timeless and just raw and beautiful and like gut punchy. And then when you add in, I mean, great imagery with the lyrics, really great imagery. I'm a very like lyrics driven person. And when I'm writing songs, I will be the pain in the ass in the room that will not accept what I think are lazy lyrics. And it took me a while to get to the place where I would stand up for that in a room because, when I was first getting started, I would be in rooms with really great writers and people that I was kind of intimidated by. So, in my younger years and some of my earlier stuff, there was stuff that I really didn't think was enough or could have been beat, but I didn't want to speak up and like be the pain in the ass. I will 100% be the pain in the ass now. So I think there's really great imagery in the lyrics, takes you on sort of a journey and gives you a story. I mean, to me, it's the trifecta of great lyrics and storytelling, great melody, and just a great production. I mean, it hits all the parts.
What a great answer. I now know what I'm going to
Well,
say.
but it's harder to say that about your own song though, without feeling like you're being like, cocky or something. It's easy for me to say because
Yeah.
I didn't write it. So
Do you want to talk about maybe some of the other songs on the new record? Any that you would really highlight as having special meaning for you, or you could tell us
sure.
about how they came
Yeah,
about?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I would say one of the ones that really stands out for me and that is special for a couple different reasons is Better Story. One, it was a very like emotional song to write, and I'm sure you might relate to this. I find sometimes the worst experiences I have, some of the toughest things I have, I'm not able to write about it while I'm still in it. Sometimes I need a little bit of space from the situation and need to heal a little bit from it, and then I can kind of go back and revisit it and give a better perspective on how to write it. And that was one of those songs for me, coming out of a really toxic relationship with a very toxic person. And I tried to write about it in the moment, but it was like I was too angry and too hurt
Yeah.
to be able to separate myself enough from it to actually make it a great song. And so that was that thing. And so when I finally did get a chance to go and write that song, sorry if you can hear her yelling in the background.
It's totally fine.
Um,
It's human.
so,
It's life.
so that song, yeah, it is life for sure. But yeah, that song was, it was about the situation where you date somebody that is just pretty horrible to you and is just, kind of is the one that's lying and running around and doing all these super toxic things, and then you finally have enough and you break up, and they go around and tell everybody else that like you're crazy and you were the one doing all these things, and basically they're just trying to, kind of, I guess, get the jump on you with everybody to convince them that you're crazy, so anything you say is going to seem like you're just covering for yourself. And and I thought about it, and I was talking to a friend about it. I'm like, I mean, I get it. If I were him and I'd done the things that he did, I wouldn't want to tell anybody the truth either. I'd want a better story too. And so that was where that hook came from.
Oh, I'm
And
with
yeah,
you.
and then also, it was special too because I mean, sonically, just musically, I mean, it's a very kind of sparse, like sort of piano ballad, and I've never really put anything out like that.
Right.
A lot of my stuff has been more traditional country and more guitar driven, and this was like a very like blues soul piano driven, almost kind of gospel type feel. So I was a little bit nervous, when we were choosing songs for the record. I loved the song, but I was worried that like it wasn't my sound, that it wasn't going to fit with the record. But the label and everybody was like, no, like this song is special, we've got to do it on the record. And then when I got in the studio with my producer Joey, I mean, he's one of my best friends, and we went in and we mapped it out. He's like, don't worry. He's like, we're gonna make sure that we produce it in a way that it sounds like you and that it fits what you're doing. And it came down. I had this idea. I told him that I wanted to kind of have some sort of like gospel background vocals, like BGVs on it. And so he's like, okay, I've got the perfect girl. And he's like, I'm gonna ask you for a favor. And I said, what? He's like, can you let me do the session with her and you don't be there, and let me try something. And he said, and if you hate it, we'll scrap it all, we'll come back, we'll redo it. He's like, but just let me try something, because he knows me. I'm a very hands-on person, and I'm very vocal about what I want and what I don't want. And I was like, okay, totally, I trust you. So he went in with her and they did all the BGVs. And I remember when he sent me the first rough mix. And when I say I sat there in my truck and had to pull over because I was crying because it sounded so good, it was just so special. And so I was like, send me her phone number right now. And I called her and I'm like, you just made this. I'm like, you guys just elevated this song so far beyond what I ever could have imagined, and made it so powerful and so special. So I would say that one is one I'm really excited for people to hear, because it is totally different from anything I've done, and yet somehow very me. And it's a really
And this is
special
Better
song.
Story.
Yeah, better story.
Okay, cool.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm proud of all these songs. I think, we definitely. I would say another one that I'm excited about that was really fun in the studio is called Liar 2, and it's the last song of the record. And so we did this really epic outro guitar thing, which was really cool because usually you're like gotta keep it at 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes, and
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, I want to have a super epic guitar outro. And so we did
Yeah,
that.
damn it.
It was kind of bringing in some influences. I listened to a lot of like metal and like punk rock kind of stuff growing up, and it brings in almost a little bit of that sort of punk rock kind of feel. So yeah, we were just able to bring in some other musical influences besides just traditional country on this record. So I think it's
Cool.
really cool.
So you channeled your inner Joan Jett then for this one, did you?
Yes.
I got one final question for you. What
Okay.
do you miss about Canada right now?
Uh, well, I miss Canadians having their freedom for sure. I just miss the fans. I miss, I'm so sad I'm not going to be able to play all these big festivals and stuff this summer. I mean, that's honestly the Canadian festival circuit is just like the highlight of every year for me. I just when Canada is like in summertime and it's just beautiful and everybody's having a good time. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss that for sure.